Good morning, everyone. So welcome to GoSustainable YouTube channel. Today, I'd like to share with all of you our campaign called Climatarian, a diet that feeds the world. Before I start, I'd like to introduce myself. So hi, everyone. I'm Adiel. I'm a sustainable consultant at GoSustainable, and we are based in Ubud, Bali. Before I start, does anyone know who is this? So he is a chef, Massimo Bottura. He's originally from Modena, Italy. So back in 2012, there was an incident, a disaster, an earthquake. It destroyed the city. Many people lose their job. And because in Modena, they have this special product called Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, it's also destroyed the product. Because why it is special, the cheese are made and then put it into the shelf, and the cheese are very, very big. And there was 380,000 wheels, because the cheese usually put it into the wheels, are destroyed because of the earthquake. Because of that, the consortium asked for his help, how to solve the problem, where this cheese are gonna go, or how they can use the cheese, because it's a large amount of cheese. So what's happened next, I'll tell you later. Speaking of disasters, within 2 months, from May until June, there are 11 disasters happen in Indonesia. And I believe disasters happen because of climate change, such as fire and forest, landslides, floods, and even droughts. Can you imagine like this all happened because all of the human activities? But if we imagine about climate change, we must think about a big human activities such as industrial activities, construction activities, energy production activities. But the fact is, it's not only that. You have to know that the food that you eat also affected to the climate change. Why? Because during the food productions, it can give a negative environmental impact, such as greenhouse gas emission, loss of land, food waste, and loss of water. So how does this happen? Okay, these are the data for the greenhouse gas emissions by sector. If we take a look, food productions, which is included in the agriculture, forestry, and land use, it's only share 19%. But the fact is that 90%, it comes from several stages on the food productions, such as land use, farming, animal feeding, food processing in the industry, food packaging, food transporting, and also until retail process. You can see from the graphs, the meat products and the dairy products have higher emissions compared to the plant-based products. Why? Let me explain on the next slide. Does anyone know or could guess why meat has highest emissions compared to the other food product? It's because cow, it produces methane because it is a ruminant animal. So what is a ruminant animal? Ruminant animals is the animal that has more than one digestive systems. And on that digestive systems, they have fermentation process. And cow usually like swallows again the food that they eat, and it releases the cow burps. And on that cow burps, it contained methane. And besides that, the manure also contained methane, and that's why like it's being released to the atmosphere. Besides that, why dairy product also has higher emissions compared to pork and poultry? That's because it requires a lot of amount of milk and also the energy used for the dairy productions, and it releases the carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Besides that, the release of nitrous oxides in the atmosphere comes from the nitrogen fertilizer that our farmers use for the grass, because cow, they requires a large amount of grass, and that's why the farmer need to grow faster the grass. Right now, we are talking about the extinction of land. It's so scary because, as we know, land is a basic thing that we need, and it's always related to all living life in this world. And the fact is, the 70% of land are used for human activities, and also up to 40% land have been degraded. And it needs like 500 years to form a new topsoil. And it's only like 2.5 centimeters. Can you imagine? We have to wait 2.5 centimeters of topsoil to grow by 500 years. And the researchers say that in 2050, the land, like 16 million kilometers square, will be degraded. And it's the size, it's similar to Russia land. Can you imagine? It's very scary. And the loss of water, because it's not only meat production that needs water, but also the other type of food products requires a large amount of water. Can you imagine like 1 kilogram of meat require 50,000 liters, and it's similar to 3,425 gallons of aqua. Another thing is the problem of food waste. It's caused by the inefficient processing and inefficient storage, inefficient way the food being transported, and also the way we consume the food itself. Per year, we produce 115 until 184 kilogram per capita of food waste. And the fact is, of course, it releases greenhouse gas emissions to the atmosphere. So this number is like 50% of our food consumptions yearly. And that's why on this Climatarian movement, we create and we have this rule called PLUMO. What is PLUMO? It's very easy to remember. P for plant-based. Why plant-based? Because it has less emissions compared to the other food products. Locally sourced. Besides, it has lower emissions due to the short distance of transportations, and also we can help the local economy grow. And unprocessed, because we want to use fresh ingredients and minimal process on the food ingredients itself, because it will emit less emissions at the same time. And minimal package, because we don't want to produce waste from packaging, and also it will produce less emissions. And the last is organic food. Why? Because we don't want to use chemical or GMO product on our Climatarian movement. How this Climatarian can affect to the greenhouse gas emission reduction. So GoSustainable compare and calculate the emissions based on 2 different dishes, non-Climatarian and then Climatarian. Non-Climatarians that include the beef, pork, chicken, and dairy products. And Climatarian dish, which is completely plant-based. Based on that calculation, we assume if 20% of the restaurants doing this Climatarian movement, and voila, the data show that we can reduce up to 25% greenhouse gas emission. Can you imagine? We only have to change from, let's say, beef steak to chickpea steak. So that's why like this is very good. And this is very like futuristic for the food and beverage business. Why? Because it's all about future-proof and risk management. And we believe that people will more conscious about climate change and also climatarian and environment. That's why climatarian can be a trend. There was a data in the past 4 years in the EU, the number of vegan doubled in a year. And I believe climatarian can also become a new trend. And because of that, the restaurant has to be ready for this. Because, yeah, what if like the climatarians try to find a climatarian dish and the restaurant not ready? So it's not good. So that's why like let's join this climatarian movement, because we believe that together we can make climatarian a new trend, and we can go through this climatarian movement together. I cannot do this alone. So do you know what Chef Massimo Bottura did? He created this creative menu called Casio EPP. It made mostly from Parmigian Reggiano. So that's why like it requires a lot of cheese, especially like Parmigian Reggiano. So he launched this movement online and he tried to encourage other restaurants. And yeah, the 380,000 cheese are sold. And it's not only he saved the cheese, but also he saved, through this movement, all of the restaurants, including him, saved the job for the people, because they still can able to produce Parmigian Reggiano. So that's why like we want to encourage all of you to join this movement, because we believe all of you can be a change maker. It doesn't need to be scientists to save this planet, but you can save through your creative climatarian dish. It's very simple. You just have to go to the climatarianmovement.com and you will find the form, and you have to fill it with the data that we require, which is the data of the ingredients that you are going to use for your climatarian dish. But don't worry, I will assist you through this sign up process. So it's only like 550K, include the donations, and you will get the certificate, the badge, information sheets, the Climatarian Movement professional group. You will be in there, of course. And the most important thing, you will be a leader for a community. So you will be an initiator for all of the community by joining this Climatarian Movement. Because I mentioned about how we can help people at the same time, we encourage the restaurant to collaborate with these organizations, SOS, Food Cycle, and Garda Pangan. So at the same time, she also will be able to redistribute the food to the people that are in need. So I hope everyone can understand like how scary it is, like how scary is climate change. And I hope through this climatarian movement, we can together like tackle climate change. And I cannot do this alone. So that's why we called this movement Climatarian, a diet that feeds the world. Because this is very simple, and I'm sure everyone can do this. But I cannot do this alone. You cannot do this alone. So let's do this together. Feel free to reach me out on this number. So I'll tell you like more informations, and if you need help about the sign up process, I'll be very happy to help you. So yeah, thank you everyone. Have a great day.